A lot of people go in to see the doctors, the fitness coaches, see your financial coach as well. And then let's talk about your personal finances. What are your financial goals? So that's the other advantage of having a life cover. And I think what a lot of people also have a misconception about a life cover is
I want to leave it there. The question is, are you financially healthy? Hey, what's up? How are you doing? Welcome to my channel. My name is Vic Sani, and I'm not alone today. I got with me a personal finance coach based in Lesotho, Tkay Nthebe. He's going to introduce himself, but today's going to be really exciting. I'm going to be chatting about everything that has to do with you and your money. TK?
Hi.
How are you doing?
I am great. How are you?
Thank you so much for joining me. Introduce yourself to the people.
So I am Tkay Nthebe. I'm a personal finance coach. I am a speaker, MC, content creator. So I'm very excited about being on this channel and the platform. I respect every platform I'm given, so thank you so much for having me here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So like I said, the reason I wanted to have this conversation is because I think it's so important. We have just gone through a pandemic. We're still going through it, and a lot of people have had immense losses, and people probably have learned lessons and probably need to learn a few more lessons. So I wanted to have this conversation for you to just guide us on how we can make ourselves better prepared for crisis in the future, or during this crisis, how can we make do with what we have? So the first question, I guess, is how do we manage our finances to make sure that we make do with what we have and not overextend ourselves?
I'm not sure I love that question. Mainly because for me, I always start with a concept I learned in personal finance called the 3 M's. 3 M's, the first M being the mindset. So it all starts with the mindset. You need to believe that I can get my personal finances correct. The second one is the money. Where do I get my money? What are my sources of the money? How do I make the money? How do I keep the money? Which brings me to the third M, the management of the money. How are you budgeting? What's your budget looking like? What's your financial health check? Have you done a financial health check? So for me, the first step would be to identify where you are financially. And if you don't like the picture, taking a deep breath, own up, respect it, and then ask yourself, how do I move from where I am? So the first step is getting the mindset right, understanding where the money comes from, and then working on the management thereof. A financial health check is really important. I love people going to see the doctors, the fitness coaches, see your financial coach as well. And then let's talk about your personal finances. What are your financial goals?
I like that, because I think it's not really something that we do, especially as young people, to seek advice from financial advisors. Firstly, how does one access that? Because some of these things, people believe that they're elite things, and we don't really have access.
No, really. So for me, particularly in the Lesotho and the South African context, in fact, in the African context, there's a lot of financial educators, So for me we need to learn we need to teach ourselves how money works, So people like myself create a lot of content around the topic. We have articles, we have YouTube channels, we have vlogs, we have different platforms where we talk about money issues. So the first thing is find the opportunities where you can learn about money. And then secondly, there's a lot of books, a lot of articles, a lot of videos that can help you about money. Thirdly is attend webinars. Well, before COVID could go to seminars, so you can attend webinars. There's a lot of webinars available. Financial services providers are also providing a lot of education around how money works and how it works, So for me is, firstly, the information, we live in the digital era. The information is readily available. So all you have to do is do a Google search. It's there. Secondly, people like myself, we are there to help guide you in terms of the journey you're going through, So I see a lot of people saying, TK is inaccessible. I'm like, yo guys, the fact that you can read an article I wrote, the fact that you can subscribe to my channel or your channel, the fact that you can go to a webinar that I'm speaking at, the fact that you can sit next to me and ask me these questions as a platform. I'm young, I'm accessible, I'm fun. The power of the internet is incredible. So we aren't accessible. We are, well.
You are not inaccessible.
No, we are not
you
inaccessible.
Are accessible.
We are very accessible. And then again, speak to your banker. Very solid information. But when you go to your banker, ask the right questions. Because some bankers, consultants will sell you things that you don't need. But if you don't know what's happening, they will basically sell you things you don't need. So you need to be empowered to take solid financial decisions.
So, having spoken now about speaking to a professional about this, I want to ask about credit cards. I think it's a very touchy topic. It's actually personal for me.
Okay.
I was speaking to a financial planner a few weeks ago, and I told her how much I own my credit card, and I was ashamed. I was really embarrassed, and then she was like, "Oh, you're fine. There's people that owe hundreds of thousands on credit cards." So I hate credit cards because it's a trap. Tell us about how to manage credit cards and how they're actually useful. Should we have credit cards? Let's talk about it.
So I also want to share my personal story.
Yeah.
When I started working, I got a credit card. You know, young student, yes, student, and it was gold. You know, as a graduate trainee, gold credit cards.
Yeah.
I think the limit at the time was 7,500
Okay,
rands, Maluti. You know, decent, yeah. So for me, credit cards. Do we need credit cards as young people? If you're traveling, yes, maybe you might need a credit card, you know.
Yeah.
But the one mistake that I feel a lot of people make when it comes to credit cards is they start using a credit card as an emergency fund.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We start using credit cards to do our groceries.
Don't shout at that.
I've done it as well. I really have, you know. You pay the minimum and then 2 days after you've paid the minimum, you go back and you're like, ding! You stop it again. So you're constantly stuck in the cycle, and it's vicious, and you don't get out of it, you know.
No.
So for me, I would encourage you, if you don't need the line of credit, don't take it. Okay. What I've done is I've paid off my credit card, well, to a decent limit. I'm at now 1,500.
Okay.
And I use the 1.5 for emergencies. And emergencies being travel. I need to book flights. I need to, you know. But I try.
Oh, I'm hungry.
No, not I'm hungry, or I need to buy KFC, or I need to buy. No, none of that. So, for me, is if you don't need a credit card, don't get it. And if you have one, you need to find ways to manage it. That means you pay more than the minimum. You pay them on time. You take advantage of most credit card companies give you a 55-day interest-free option. You know. So if you can take advantage of that, where for 55 days you don't pay any interest on it, take it. You know, so it also helps your credit score, guys. It also really helps your credit score. Pay your credit card on time, and if you can automate it, most of them have what they call APOs, automated payment orders. Let them go, ding, take the money from your account. But try to pay more than the minimum, you know. And and what a lot of us do is you have a credit card, you max it out. Then you take a second credit card to pay this credit card.
What a vicious cycle. I only see that on TV though.
Financial entanglements. I've met people who have 2 credit cards and they are using one to pay the other. Avoid the financial entanglement.
Can I share with you a tip that I learned on paying credit cards? So I learned that if you have a maximum, say my maximum is X. I don't want to share it. It's so embarrassing. So I'm going to say my maximum is 10,000.
Cool.
So to avoid being stuck in the vicious cycle, because you're always paying it off, but then you pay it, but then you spend it. So pay with your 1,000, your 2,000, and then every time after paying it, reduce your maximum.
Yeah.
So if you keep reducing it and reducing it and reducing it, ultimately you get to a point where you've reduced it to 5,000 and you've paid it off.
Surprisingly, I did the same. So when I moved from the 10, which seems it's very big to me, but many people just only 10.
Only 10. What are you talking about?
You know, so I went from 10, I kept on. Now I'm at 1.5, and I wanted to get it to 100.
Okay, you might as well just throw it away.
But I still need it because I need to book flights. So what I do is I want to pre-fund it and then use credit, my money, to access that, but still have the advantage of the credit card. You know. So when I did that, my bank was like, no, the minimum needs to be 3K, and I'm like, okay. All right, I can live with 3K, you know, I can live with 3K. So, and the other thing is, if you really don't need a credit card, the first credit card I had, after I paid it off, I took a pair of scissors and I went.
You cut it yourself?
Myself, with my pair of scissors, and I cut it into smaller pieces, and now,
like, you're done.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. But yeah, one does get stuck. So if you can pay it off, try to run away from it.
And stay away from it.
I want to move on now to life cover, insurance. Tell us about that. Most young people, I know when I actually started paying for those, I did it because a friend of mine works for an insurance company, and I was doing it because I'm like, let me support homegirl. So I'm like,
you need those sales.
I'm like, I'm going to support you.
Yeah.
But I wasn't intending to, because my head was telling me, no, I'm young. I don't need this now. I'll do it, when I'm older.
Yeah.
And you don't realize you're getting old until it's like little kids start calling you Mr. Sir Old. So tell us about that. When do you start it? How do you make sure that you are insured adequately?
Okay, so for me, when it comes to life assurance or life insurance, you know, it's long term. Okay, a lot of young people don't necessarily need it yet, because the whole point of a life cover is to cover your estate in the event that you die. You know? And the whole idea there is if you have dependents, they need to keep on living, particularly if you're the bread provider. Okay, so if you don't need it, rather take that amount you pay in premiums and put it towards your investments. But if you're thinking of going into property, then a life cover becomes very important, because it secures, well, not secures, but it's there to protect your asset should you die. Then the bank can claim against the policy and settle your debt, you know.
Okay, so having understood now about life cover, how would you advise us on covering for critical illness and the likes?
So the beautiful thing about life covers from most financial service providers is you can bundle the critical disability and the accidental, chronic disease cover as well into the life cover. So you can build it up and then pay one single premium, you know. So that's the other advantage of having a life cover. And I think what a lot of people also have a misconception about a life cover is, if you don't have debt, you don't need a life cover. If you have dependents and you have people who are relying on you for income and for their livelihood, should you die, you would want to be in a place where you leave them financially secure, you know, financially secure, be it the house, the furniture, the groceries, and what they eat. And should you fall ill, and a lot of us, particularly young people, is we travel and we go on these YOLO trips and short lefts, you know, and we expose ourselves to a lot of, by being on the road, we expose ourselves to a lot of accidents, you know. What happens in the event where you become disabled or you become chronically ill with cancer or what have you not? You'd want to have a financial plan in place to protect and to take care of the finances while you are focusing on recovery. So those are the other benefits of having a life cover in place, particularly when you are young. But again, like I mentioned earlier on, not every single young person needs a life cover, at least for now. When the time comes, then you graduate to that, you know. But I always say medical aid or health plan. I cannot emphasize that enough, particularly when you're like, YOLO, living my best life. Medical aid, health plan. Should anything happen, you need to be taken care of health-wise.
What would you say to somebody who says, I don't need medical aid because I'm healthy, I can get hospital cover?
Well, hospital cover is, well, it depends what healthy is for you. And we always say personal finance is personal, you know. So if you feel you are healthy enough, it depends what healthy is for you. For me personally, I am healthy because I'm young. I don't always eat correctly. I would love to eat healthier, you know. But if I'm not exercising, then am I really healthy? If I'm not eating well, am I really healthy? You know, in the event that anything goes wrong from a health perspective, will my health plan cover me adequately? You know, what's the cost of ICU? What's the cost of sitting in a hospital bed? You know, so if you are comfortable to say that my health plan can take care of all of that, that's fine. I use my medical aid to get vitamins and multivits and what have you not, just to boost my health, you know. I use my medical aid to go for massages and the likes. They're important to me because I work hard, but I also need to be in the best shape in terms of my health for me to show up every single day. So it depends what you want to do. For me is, if you have a health plan, big ups. If you have medical aid, big ups. The question is, if you don't, then that's a big question mark for me. Get one.
Okay. Yeah. I want to talk about saving for retirement.
My favorite topic, yes.
I'm glad you enjoyed the topic. I think it's very important. When should one start? Ideally, one should start when they start working.
Yeah.
But when we start working, we earn so little money. You think, no man, let me just try to find myself and navigate through my career, and then I'll start saving for retirement. Yeah. Maybe at 30. When is the ideal time to start, and how should one start financially?
So
how should it cost you?
So for me, a lot of young people don't think about retirement because it's like 40, 50, 30 years ago, depending on how old you are. You know?
Very far from
So
now.
for me, the moment you start working, irrespective of how little you earn, take that 15% and put it away. The power of compounding interest, But surprisingly, you can start a retirement annuity from 250 grand a month. How much do we spend on alcohol? How much do we spend on living our best lives? Can you sacrifice 250 consistently for every single month and then have an escalation every year, in terms of from the 250 escalated by 10% and grow it? It's not a lot of money when you're young, because you have the power of time and you have the power of compounding interest, So the earlier you start, the better. But for me, what's also very important when it comes to retirement conversations is think about the kind of lifestyle you want to live when you're in retirement. For me, I would love to be traveling. I would love to travel. I'm traveling now when I'm young, But at the same time, I'm also thinking about living life now, but also planning for the future. I don't want to be broke in retirement. I don't want to struggle to find something to eat when I'm in retirement. I don't want to be I don't want to be depending on my kids if I have kids for financial security. Oh, hell no. So if I can put away 250 now and get used to it for the next 40 years and keep on growing. And there's one concept I learned called save more tomorrow. We always say we'll save more tomorrow, So every year when you get your salary increase your retirement contribution as well. Again, the other thing is when you are focusing on retirement, also balance that with the amount of debt, because we're also in a lot of debt as young people, So sometimes it's great to save for retirement, it's very important, but also where are you in terms of your debt? Because you could be focusing on a future, but now the present, you are paying a lot of costs. So it's a balancing act, but the earlier you start saving towards your retirement and the more you plan towards it, the more financially secure you retire. In South Africa, only 6% can retire financially secure. Do you want to be part of that 6%, or do you want to be part of the 94%?
That's struggling. That's your question. And obviously it's a very easy question to answer. You know where you want to be. So I hope you're taking notes as we do this conversation. Remember to hit subscribe if you haven't. Like this video already. Remember to go on his channel to go like and subscribe and watch more of his videos. He has so much wisdom to share. I think I'm going to ask one last question.
Yes.
Let's talk about car financing.
Ooh.
So how do we manage that? How do we get, because ultimately we have to get cars. We've gotten to a point where in life it's not a luxury. We need to drive cars. It's very difficult to save enough money to buy a decent car cash. So we find ourselves having to buy it with installments. How do we manage that?
So for me, the first mistake I made was buying a car. Well, I bought my Peugeot 207, and the only thing I focused when I bought that car was to literally pay the monthly installment, And I think the monthly installment at that time was 2,500.
Sounds decent.
Sounds decent, but I could not afford it in the sense that there is the maintenance, provided if it's new or not. There is the petrol, there is the insurance, there is all these other hidden costs that we don't know about. So the one mistake a lot of young people make is they look at the installment, they're like, I can pay that. Well, the South African context, there's the residual and what have you not, but in the sort of context, we don't have that. So you go to the bank, you apply for car financing, and they give you the monthly installment. What is that? There's one ratio we speak about when we speak about the debt to income ratio. How much of your income is going towards servicing debt? So a car is important because it enhances the quality of your life. It's very important to get to work safe, secure, what have you not. Particularly when you are a content creator like us. Times you go to different events in the evening, so you need a car. But the one mistake we make is we buy cars out of our price range. I should be driving an Uno or a Tag or a Peugeot. Now I'm trying to buy a BMW 3 Series or an Audi Q5, So stick in your lane. Stick in your lane. Buy a car that you can afford that will also enhance the quality of your lifestyle. But the one mistake we make is the cars we buy, we cannot afford.
Let's talk about that ratio. I know that when you look for property, they look at that ratio and they say you need to pay at least 30% of your income should be going towards your property.
And that total, the debt income to ratio is the total debt. So it's the property, the car, the credit card, the overdraft, every single thing needs to be within 30% of your income.
Oh, that sounds
I looked at mine, and I think mine was at 50. And I was like, oh, I don't like this. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down. And I'm proactively bringing it down. Because in the event of COVID happening, which it happened, a lot of us lost incomes, we lost our jobs. What's happening to your debt at that point in time?
It continues.
What happens at your debt?
You
Yes,
still
there were payment periods and the likes, but where are you financially?
Yeah.
The financial health check I spoke about earlier on. Solvency, liquidity, how quickly can you liquidate your assets? The third thing is your savings. You know, where are you in terms of your savings? And then the debt. Financial health check. Are you financially healthy?
I want to leave it there. I want to leave it there. The question is, are you financially healthy? I want to hear from you in the comment section. So please drop me comments, feedback on this conversation. Leave questions, not necessarily for me, but for TK, because he's the expert on this field. And make sure to subscribe, as we said. Make sure that you follow him because he has so much wisdom to share with you. Go follow his channel because he has more of these conversations, more and more. This is what he does for a living. So thank you for watching. I hope I'll see you again soon. And goodbye for now.